Yo, what is the deal, everybody? What is the deal? Welcome to another Raider Nation Unlimited. I'm your man, Wasted Talent. Salute to the chat. Get wasted with your brother, Wasted. Tell a friend and tell a friend. We already got over 150 in the room. It is definitely time to cook. Appreciate my guy, P&G Sports. Wasted, best in the game. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So, guys, look, today, there's a few things that we want to really touch on today, right? As far as from a Raider perspective, I want to break down the Orange Bowl and the Rose Bowl, right? Because there's a lot of Raider implications for said particular matchups, right? And there's also a lot of other things going on in Raider Nation, guys. First and foremost, I think that if we're being honest, right, we want to make sure that the Raiders have no obstacles to them replacing and upgrading the quarterback position. Now, there are some people who are big Fernando Mendoza people. I happen to be one, right? I really like the kid, right? I really like Fernando. I like his game. We're going to break down the Rose Bowl performance, man. He did a phenomenal job. You can't do much better than that if we're being real. But also, there are some people in the Raider camp that love Dante Moore. And I want to talk about Dante Moore as well, right? But Sunday is a huge day for Raider Nation, man. This is something that if we're being real, if we're being honest, the Raiders need the number one pick probably more than any other team in this league. The Raiders are in a situation where we have not had a real chance at winning a Super Bowl since 2002, almost 25 years ago. Then we have not won a world championship in almost over 40 years now, 1984. 42 years. We are in dire need of this pick. Us having the number one pick sets us up to have our pick of the litter when it comes to coaches, if they so choose to move on from Pete Carroll. It helps us control every round of the draft. And if we're being honest, man, it's been too long since the Raiders have had this chance, man. We have had situations where we have won meaningless games at the end of seasons and knocked us out of position, and we cannot have it anymore. We can't have it anymore, man. I'm sorry. So look, there are some ways that the Raiders can wind up with the number one pick and not particularly, have to lose against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? There's some scenarios, and I want to get into those scenarios right now, right? Like, so the way that the Raiders, before they even play, can win the number one pick is simply the Giants beating the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I don't necessarily think that that's going to happen. You know what I mean? But there is a little, hope there. Dak Prescott is only going to play the first half of the game, right? The Dallas Cowboys are sitting a lot of their guys. The Giants are sitting a lot of their guys. So we got to keep our eye out on that, right? But even if the New York Giants don't beat the Dallas Cowboys in an early window, right? The Raiders can look for three scenarios to get the first pick. If the Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, Cleveland Browns, and or the Seattle Seahawks lose in week 18, the Raiders will be on top of the board again. The Falcons, Browns, and Seahawks all play before Las Vegas does. So, the best case scenario for the Raiders is for these things to happen and them going right into the late slot of games and already having a number one pick locked up and being able to just competitively go out there and try to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's the best case scenario, right? Losses by all three of those teams, with the loss by the Giants as well, would mean that the Raiders didn't have anything to play for on Sunday. they can comfortably win their first game since mid-October, and that'd be great, right? For the first time in weeks, Raider Nation will be able to root for silver and black, right? And that's a freeing feeling. This has been something that, for a lot of us at Raider Nation, we have really, really, really had to fight with ourselves, man. We come from the mantra of just win, baby, the pride and poise. Like, we have had to fight against everything that we believe in, man. But it's getting to the point where we can't wait anymore. We can't wait anymore, guys. We can't. So that's the scenario that we could possibly get the #1 pick without losing in Kansas City. Salute to my guy, Jersey Raider. What's good, Wasted? Mendoza look good out there. Hope we don't F it up with a win against Kansas City. Hope we don't. I'm hoping that it doesn't even come down to that. Now, we got to look at it like this. The Chicago Bears could lose to the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are in a situation where they love nothing better than to go out there and spoil the Chicago Bears fun. Chicago Bears are probably fighting for playoff positioning and things of that nature. But if we're being real, it's deeper than rap. You got Ben Johnson coming and putting egg on the face of the Detroit Lions, and Dan Campbell and that team won't have any of it. Then you have the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are playing Cincinnati. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to go in there and try to beat Cleveland. And I think the Bengals have been playing really, really well. They just got hot late. I think the Bengals are going to go in there and beat the Cleveland Browns. And plus, with Shedeur Sanders making the kind of mistakes that he makes, I can see the Cincinnati Bengals going in there and locking that dub up. And the Seattle Seahawks are playing the San Francisco 49ers for the division. So this is, winner take all. And Seattle has been playing great, but so has San Francisco. And Brock Purdy's back. He is balling at a really high level. I can see everything being locked up. Now, when you talk about the Atlanta Falcons have had problems beating the teams they should beat, and they beat teams they're not supposed to beat. Now, I know a lot of you guys are thinking, man, they went out there and beat the Rams, but they have had problems with the Saints, and Tyler Shuck is trying to hold on to that job. I also can see the New York Giants going in and playing an inspired effort like they did against us last week because they're trying to hold on to Mike Kafka's job, similar to the way the Raiders played when Antonio Pierce was up to be the head coach of that team. I think the Giant players really, really like and respect Mike Kafka. So, listen, that is the path to the Raiders getting the #1 pick without having to lose. And then the Raiders are in control of their own destiny. If they lose, they get the first pick. But salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother, Wasted. Tell a friend to tell a friend. My guy, DeMokes, Miami winning it all. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you talking about the national championship? They might. You know what I mean? My dog, Rudy DeVet Russo. My name is Fernando Mendoza, and I'm a political prisoner from Cuba. All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I won't break them for nobody. Scarface or bust. Listen, Fernando Mendoza is a God-fearing man. He would never say such filth, Rudy, you effing bum. Get the F up out of here with your crap. I mean, I can't believe you coming trying to hijack the damn show. We got to get you up out of here with that crap, Rudy. What's wrong with you? Fernando Mendoza, do you hear the inspired speech he made after that win? We almost 400 in the room. Get wasted with your brother Wasted. My guy, Larry DM. Watching more Mendoza, it's very clear Mendoza, as of today, is on another level. The man has total control of his offense. He may not be 5 years from now, but the Raiders cannot take that gamble. Larry DM, I think that you share the same sentiment as the great and powerful Wasted Talent. I'm going to be honest with you. The floor is a lot higher for Fernando Mendoza. Even though the ceiling isn't as high, the floor is a lot higher. And that's really, really what we're looking to. So, listen, there are a few things that I would like to share with all of you guys, man, right? Fernando Mendoza, man, he definitely, man, I mean, the guy played terrific, man. He played terrific, man. The undefeated Big Ten champions that ranked #1 in the country for the first time. Mendoza has already scooped up the Heisman. He's set to possibly be the top pick in the draft, and he delivered another school first, a Rose Bowl win. So the guy is going in there and changing the culture in college, right? And this is what we're looking for him to do here with the Raiders. Now, on Thursday afternoon in Pasadena, Indiana took down #9 Alabama 38-3. Now that's significant because this is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now they have not been on top of the world since Nick Saban has left, but they are still Alabama and they still have the athletes. And that is an impressive win in the college football playoff quarterfinals. This is the biggest bowl loss ever to the Alabama Crimson Tide. And Fernando Mendoza was absolutely sensational. It's 14 for 16, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air. And the Hoosiers, rushed out their blue blood opponents, man. They outrushed them, man. They ran roughshod over them. 215 to 23, man, on a dormant day. So listen, that Indiana team is for real, man. I can definitely see that Indiana team going in and taking the whole show. And I would love to see that too. I would love to see that, especially if we get the number 1 pick, man. But Mendoza, man, his interview was phenomenal, man. He didn't win MVP of the game, but he's a guy who is such a selfless guy. He went out there and really advocated for his center, Pat Coogan, to win it, man. And he's another guy that, we need to talk about, but after seeing Fernando Mendoza, play, man, I'm going to be honest with you. This is the guy I want to see in silver and black next year. This is the Raiders need to deactivate their whole roster, man. Seriously, man. They really do. Like, look, the guy is a leader, man. The guy's a leader. He's not like super, physically talented. He's not off the charts physically talented, but that's not what gets it done in the National Football League. What gets it done in the National Football League is understanding the game, being a leader, understanding how coverages, pro style concepts. These are all things that are going on right now with Fernando Mendoza, man. Salute to my guy, Cesar Lorenzo, with the $5 slapperoonie. I've been a big fan of Trinidad Chambliss. Your thoughts on his rise? We're going to get into Trinidad Chambliss. He played phenomenal. This guy's a guy that played lights out in junior college, won championships. 6'1" guy, not the biggest guy in the world, but I'm a fan of Trinidad Chambliss, man. I definitely am. And I love the way he played in that bowl. And I love the way he's been playing all season, man. But he's not a guy that I have a 3rd round grade on Trinidad Chambliss right now. My guy family of football. Who else on cloud 9 after watching Mendoza? Now, if we could just secure the number 1 pick and lock down a star head coach, this rebuild may be faster than we think. Who are the top 3 offensive and defensive head coaches? We're going to get into that real soon. So, guys, this is what I want to do, right? What I want to do is I want to talk about Dante Moore as well, right? I want to talk about Dante Moore, and I want to talk about Dante Moore's game in the Orange Bowl. Now, Dante Moore, to me, I think that Dante Moore is very, very physically talented. Very, very physically talented, man. He had a decent game, had a really good game. I mean, there were certain things in the pocket that I saw that were not the greatest. You know what I mean? Like, and I know, on paper, right? He had a hell of a game, Oregon won 23-0, but he has a very, very, very great team around him, man. Like, you got to realize all of the resources that are there in Eugene, Oregon, man. You got the benefactors from Nike there. You know what I mean? And when you start talking about, Dan Lanning, bro, Dan Lanning is a hell of a coach, man. A hell of a coach. They shut out Texas Tech, one of the best defenses in the country, man. And, I'm just going to be real with you, whether it's, Dylan Gabriel or whether it is Dante Moore, that Oregon team is built to win. They're built for it tough ever since Bo Nix was there, and a lot of people will probably tell you that they would like Dante Moore because of what they see from a physical standpoint. But there are certain things that I saw from Dante Moore that I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that, he looks a little shaky in that pocket. It looks like he doesn't like to get hit at all. It looks like he's trying to get rid of the ball above all else. He's an athletic guy, but I mean, that's just what I saw. I think that Dante Moore, if I'm being real, I think he needs another year. And I know a lot of people, would say, hey, wasted, you a little off. Now, would it behoove him to stay another year? I don't really think so, right? I don't think so. But I don't really see him coming out and making the kind of impact that the Raiders need for us. You know what I mean? Like, I think he has a lot of talent. It needs to be developed, but I think he's a kid who needs to come in the National Football League the first year and hold the clipboard. And I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think the Raiders need that. I think the Raiders need a guy that can hit the ground running and legitimize this franchise, man. I mean, but he does have the most upside physically of the 3 or 4 QBs that are draftable, right? He's able to move and like throw on the move. I saw some of that during that game. He's got a nice arm, but, you know, his lack of starting experience has scared me, man. You know, the guy had 5 starts at UCLA and transferred, and he had 13 more at Oregon. And then now we're expecting for him to carry a franchise that has had a black eye on it for the last 20 years. I'm personally not signing up for that. I think it's a big stretch to have a guy come into a situation like this and expect for him to be successful. Salute to my guy Ridgeback. Salute, Wasted. Chambliss looked pretty good yesterday against Georgia. I take Fernando, but if somehow we end up at 2, I look at Chambliss pretty hard. I would never take that kid, Trinidad Chambliss, at number 2. I would never do it. I think it would be organizational malpractice. I have a 3rd round grade on that kid. Telling you right now. Salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother Wasted, man. Raiders report. When it comes to football IQ, Mendoza has the highest ceiling. Yes, he definitely does, man. He definitely does. And guys, I got some raw numbers on how these guys have done this season. We're gonna pull it up pretty soon, right? But the thing is, I don't like to be a prisoner of the moment, Caesar, when you talk about Trinidad Chambliss, right? Trinidad Chambliss has been balling. You know, he's been in that Lane Kiffin system. He's a guy that if he can get another year of eligibility, he might go down to LSU and go play with Lane Kiffin and try to win a natty, right? But here's the thing. He's a gamer. He balled out yesterday, but I think it would behoove him because he doesn't have the public's consciousness enough to come out now. You know what I mean? Like the kid, I mean, if the Raiders were to draft a kid that early, like, you know, I just really think that it would really be a mistake by the Raiders to draft him that early, man. Seriously, it would be a big mistake, man. You know, now there are a lot of things about, you know, him that a lot of people, you know, don't really understand and don't know. This is a guy that is a winner, man. You know, he won a championship when he was playing D2. He transferred. You know, Lane Kiffin got him together, man. And he's one of those guys that, you know, that I can see the Raiders taking along with a guy with a 1st round grade on him. He's just not the kind of prospect that I would gamble the future of the Raiders on. He's just not. And it's no disrespect to him. It's no disrespect to him. He played phenomenal. You know, he is the kind of guy that you would love to have in your quarterback room just in case, right? You know, you can kind of have a reverse RG3 Kirk Cousins kind of a situation, man. You know what I mean? I mean, when the transfer portal opened up, you know, Charlie Weiss Jr. spotted Chambliss's film immediately and he brought him in, right? And what they saw reminded them kind of like what Cam Ward was, right? A scrambler who could launch the deep ball with suddenness. And the Rebels took a flyer on him, man. They took a flyer on him, and they were damn smart to do that, man. He's a Grand Rapids, Michigan kid, Stu's neck of the woods, and you know, he didn't really kind of generate the kind of, you know, the kind of eyes on him that you would expect for a player that I've seen, you know, like of his ilk. But he's a little long in the tooth, right? You know, he was in the 2020 class, right? And he had scholarship offers to like junior colleges, Division III programs, and Chambliss landed at Ferris State on a partial scholarship. And he kind of played his way up, man. He played his way up, man. And then he transferred again. He played his way up, man. And now he's at Ole Miss, and he's just not a clean enough of a prospect for me, man, for me to try to put a 1st round grade on him, man. You know, like he has elite bursts out in the field. He can run, you know, can move. You know, he displays a lot of composure, man. High leverage situations, man. I saw that in the bowl game, man. He moves in the pocket really well. He knows when to get rid of the ball, when to throw the ball. You know, he runs with physicality too. But he's not the biggest guy in the world, man. And he commands respect in the huddle, man. Even with him being a guy that hasn't had a lot of Division I experience, man. You know what I mean? But he's a guy that, you know, you can trust, and he's a veteran in age situation. But the thing with him is, and it's the reason why I don't have a first round grade on him, is because of the physical limitations. I mean, he is small. You know, he's undersized. He's like 200 pounds, man. And then you're going to have durability concerns with a guy that you're going to take number one. You can't have that, right? He has an aggressive running style. He is the kind of quarterback that will get knocked out of a game, man. And his short and intermediate accuracy is very questionable. You know, so he misses open receivers. He's just not a first round guy, man. I'm sorry, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother Wasted, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Oh, my God, man. P that QB1 secured the second pick. Nah, man, you got to stop playing. I don't even know why I read that nonsense. The Bucks, relax. Put Pete in that linebacker since he likes wrestling. Y'all are tweaking. And my guy, God Family Football, gifting 5 Rated Nation Unlimited memberships to the masses. Salute to everybody out there. Appreciate God Family Football. If you received a membership from God Family Football, make sure you give him the praise and respect for making the Wasted Town Army grow in droves. Jen Sight. 32-33. We should draft Mendoza and LR and have them compete for the starting QB spot. Look, when you draft a quarterback number one, he has to come in as the guy. You know, that's a part of why you draft a quarterback number one. You got to have everybody on page and in the organization to support the kid. Right off the bat, until otherwise, you have to commit to him as a player a minimum of 2 years, 3 years. And then, you know, if you have a situation where injury arises and you have that other young prospect on the roster and they get in and they show improve and they look like they're better and they're playing better, then that's a different situation. But you can't draft a guy number one and not commit to him long term. You set your organization back 10 years not doing that. My guy, God Family Football, became a YouTube member, man. Appreciate you, my brother. And my guy, Buck Nasty, with the $20 bomb. Wasted, what's good? Just tuning in. Realistic worst case scenario. The Raiders end up with the second pick and no other QB looks like they're the guy at 2. What do? Go all in on a trade for a top QB or take a fire on Kyler Murray? Meh. Look, I don't really know what you would do, you know, as far as quarterback goes. I don't think if you don't have 2 draftable quarterbacks in that position, you have a problem, because now you're not going to have people scrambling to get up to number 2. Quarterbacks, the value of quarterbacks in the draft, in the organization, just as a whole, right, is so great when it comes to football. To me, you know, quarterback is the number one most important position in all of sports. It really is. And it's important for the fact that, you got a lot of organizations who are high on these 2 guys. But if only one of them are out and he's off the board, then that draft and the movement in the draft, you don't get the haul that you want. You know, like when you have a quarterback that's a draftable quarterback, man, people are asking you for your draft future for the foreseeable future. Because just in case they missed and the guy becomes a superstar, they want to be able to justify passing on it by drafting and getting probably other players that are Pro Bowl level guys, right, in other positions. My guy, Mob Ties meets 76-65. What are the chances we still get the number 1 pick if we win? I have a feeling Pete might repeat what happened last year towards the end, bro. I kind of went over that earlier, bro. And, you know, I'll do it one more time for you guys, right? The chances are very great, right? Because if the New York Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys, the Raiders still get the number 1 pick, right? But if the Cowboys beat the Giants and the Raiders beat Kansas City in the early slate of games, we would need for the Cleveland Browns to lose. They've been a bad team. I could see that happening. To the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a rivalry. Joe Burrow will be playing. We would need for the Chicago Bears to lose to Detroit. That's another rivalry. Detroit would love nothing else but to put some egg on Ben Johnson's face, right? And the Detroit Lions, they ball out. They're a very talented team. I could see them going in there and beating Chicago. And then you would need for Seattle to lose in a game that is for the division. And it's a very, very great chance that they do lose to the San Francisco 49ers. And that game, I think, is tomorrow, right? So we'll get some of our answers tomorrow if San Francisco can pull that game out. And it's crazy, man, because this is such a weird space for Raider fans. Like, we don't want to root for the 49ers. We damn sure don't want to root for the Kansas City Chiefs against us. But this is where we are. This is where we are. Demon King. I personally do not think Dante is ready, at least a year away. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, but the thing for me is that either which way, right? I need Dante Moore to come out. I need for Dante Moore to come out, bro. Like, if I'm being real with you, I need for him to come out because, you know, it's game on, right? It's game on at that point. You might have some teams that really, you know, want a Dante Moore. There's some teams that kind of covet that level of athleticism, right? They might be out on, you know, a guy like Fernando Mendoza, right? There are some people that think that, you know, he's just some goofy guy, and, you know, they don't really think that, you know, he is the kind of person that you will want running your organization. But to me, right, I think that Fernando Mendoza is the ultimate team guy, and his head coach Curt Cignetti kind of said the same thing, man. He kind of said the same thing, man. You know, he's the ultimate team guy, and he's kind of the guy that is exactly the archetype of player that Tom Brady covets. And there's a report out that Tom Brady is talking about being heavily involved in things behind the scenes coming up, right? But man, when you start talking about Mendoza, man, this is a guy that, you know, to me is the salt of the earth, man. The guy is really the salt of the earth, man. He really is, man. He really is, man. You know, and to me, man, like, I mean, even just looking and listening to, you know, his speech after the Rose Bowl, man. Listen to his speech after the Rose Bowl, man. I mean, it tells you kind of everything that you want to know about the kid, man. You know, it tells you everything you want to know about the kid.
What is so special about you in this group? Well, first of all, my team and I want to give all the glory to God.
This is Fernando Mendoza, guys.
One of the best venues in all of sports. It's just a great conglomerate of individuals coming together and really forming complementary football. Coach Sig has hit on us, no complacency. And especially when you have a bye, it's tough to get in the rhythm of football. But once we got our feet on the ground, we knew that we were going to stick together and come out with this W.
It took you a second. Opening series, you get sacked twice. You have to punt. I just saw Alabama defensive linemen coming over and hyping you up about how good you were today. How did you figure it out quickly?
First of all, I mean, Alabama's a super classic program, one of the most prestigious programs in the SEC. Shout out to them. They did a fantastic job. However, it's us coming together. And, you know, like I said, the month off, it's kind of like, hey, we got to get our feet wet. Once we get our feet wet, once we get the ball rolling, we're able to hit it in stride and able to put plays together, put, you know, first downs together, and then put points on the board.
What?
I'm so honored and blessed to be a part of this team, this sports staff, and this coaching staff, and I can't thank God enough for this.
Just quickly.
I mean, how could you not want a guy with that attitude? How could you not want a guy with that attitude, man? How could you not want that, man? My guy Joe Ybarra. Also during the game, Mendoza was hitting some clutch third down throws. He was making throws that were NFL throws. And this is the reason why, like, see, there's a difference between arm strength and arm talent. There's a difference, right? Arm talent is being able to place the football in a place in a purposeful place. There's some quarterbacks that do not develop that they don't have that superpower. And I'm gonna be real with you. Geno Smith is a perfect example of that. Geno Smith did well in Seattle because he had receivers who were ball dominant receivers. They were guys that can go up and get the football no matter where it is. When you got a guy like, you know, Njigba who will route you up and he's wide open calling for the football, or when you got a guy like DK Metcalf that can go get you the football. These are men that you have to have to play the style of football that Geno Smith plays. Fernando Mendoza is a guy, he throws in windows. That, to me, is a premium in the National Football League. That is a premium, yo. Is a premium. I don't want to bloviate too much about Fernando Mendoza because I'm just fearful that we miss on him. I just hope that we get the kid. I really do, man. So when you start talking about generational arm talent, there are a lot of guys that got a howitzer, man. You got guys that got the strongest arms and all this talent, guys like Jamarcus Russell. You know, we don't even got to go back that far. Yeah, guys like Ryan Mallett, that got a rocket arm. It's very, very rare that you have a quarterback that marries the accuracy, the moxie, the leadership, and the arm talent together. So then when you have that, that's when you get Aaron Rodgers, right? I'm not mistaking this kid for that. But let me tell you, man, but he's a dog though, man. My guy Ridge, man. The one thing I want out of Fernando is more of that Brady dog in him instead of that DC dog in him. Look, his faith has nothing to do with the kind of competitor he is. And now what I see about Fernando is this. I see a guy that is not afraid to get hit. I see a guy that'll go pick that first down up with his legs. That's what I see. I see a guy that's willing to step up in the pocket and throw. Telling you right now. Telling you right now, man. Salute to my guy Ridgeback, man. Salute to my guy Ridge, man. Salute the Bubba. Wasted looking like the pimp from the Mac. Which one? I mean, what am I? Pretty Tony? Am I Goldie? What's going on here, man? Mr. Pretty Tony. What you know about the Mac, young fella? Yo, Soul Chef. Raider fan for 25 years, Cuban-American, born and raised in Miami. That Mendoza jersey is going to hit different. Yo, I fuck with it, man. Appreciate you, bro. My guy, Raider King, 5'10", with the $5 slap of room. Wasted. What's your take on Diego Pavia? Personally, I think he fits the Raiders perfectly. I think Diego Pavia's attitude and it. Listen, when you start talking about fitting the Raiders, what exactly exactly does it mean to fit the Raiders, right? Like at this point. Like Diego Pavia is a very he's a short quarterback, right? He's a small guy. He's got a lot of moxie, but the one thing that Diego Pavia doesn't really have, to me, and this is why I don't think he fits the Raiders. He fits what we think the Raiders are, the renegade, the renegade kind of outlaw kind of thing. But we need an adult in the room at quarterback. We need an adult in the room at quarterback, right? So what I don't think about him is I don't think that his level of maturity is something that lines up with what the Raiders are today. You know what I mean? I think the Raiders need an adult. They need a leader on the offensive side of the ball, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so for me, right, I'm not taking him higher than the third round. You know what I mean? I have Diego Pavia ranked below, Dante Moore. I've got him ranked, of course. Fernando, I have him ranked beneath Ty Simpson. I have him ranked beneath Garrett Nussmeier. I don't think that John Mateer's coming out. I have him ranked beneath Carson Beck. I got him ranked beneath Drew Allard as well. You know what I mean? I mean, he is a guy that, a lot of people like because he has that like kind of, that dog in him, right? I mean, he has very great pocket awareness. He has dual threat capabilities, very tough. He bounces back from mistakes really well, really good deep ball accuracy. And some people say he has the clutch gene, right? But he's only 6 foot tall, man. And this is the thing. I like my quarterbacks, if I'm drafting them high, to be over 6'2", 6'3", right? 200-pound guy, small guy. His pocket presence kind of abandons him. He kind of colors outside of the lines a little too much. And his arm strength is not great. And it becomes apparent, man, when he throws over the middle, the ball kind of sails on him and people will take off on him, and pick the ball off, man. And then the thing is, him playing with pro style concepts is also another liability, man. Yo, also during at the game, Mendoza was hitting some clutch third down throws. Yes, he was, man. I mean, he was super accurate. I mean, you couldn't play a better game. My guy, Jinsight. Not gonna lie, I will buy a Mendoza jersey if we get him in silver and black. I think we all will, bro. My guy, Ruben Russ. Does it seem like the type of QB to blame his wide receiver if he's thrown into triple coverage? We need a true culture changer and a new energy. Mendoza looks like he has that. And see, the reason why I'm so high on Fernando, it is not the physical stuff. It is everything above the shoulder and the heart and the mind. We need that positive kind of mindset in this building. We need that with this organization. We need it. It's been far too long. It's been far too long, man. Is it Mendoza solid in the red zone? Pause. Yeah, there's no pause. Yeah, he is. Yo, my guy, Apocalypse. We fix it all now or he fails. I call this week game Dirty Destiny. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So look, this is the thing, man. Salute to my brother Big Mike in the place to be, man. Get wasted with your brother wasted, man. Large Michael Pirate out. Salute to my guy Hug D's. Hug Dizzle is in the place, man. Demon King is in the place too. Demon King is in the place, right? But look, man, the unredacted truth is in the place, man. Yeah, false bravado gets you humble. Salute to my brother Big Mike Raider, man. But guys, what I want to do is I want to kind of get into a situation that, you know, a deeper look at these two prospects, right? I want to get into a deeper look with these two prospects, man. Salute to everybody on Twitter too that's been riding with us and supporting too, man. The Twitter following is growing, right? The X profile is growing, man. I appreciate it, and also everybody on YouTube, man. And I know there are a lot of people that may not have tapped in with me before, bro. But get wasted with your brother wasted. Make sure you pay your bar tabs. You hit that subscribe. You hit that like, you share this thing out to everybody on social media as well, right? But right here, right? This is a comparison of Dante Moore, Fernando Mendoza, and, you know, Ty Simpson. I want to kind of lean more into Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore, right? So they have everything kind of broken down. Short adjusted completion percentage, right? 88% for Fernando Mendoza. He's ranked 8th in FBS. Dante Moore, 86%, ranked 13th. Intermediate adjusted completion percentage, right? 69%. I guess that's like kind of throwing on the run. 69%, ranked 10th in FBS, higher than Dante Moore. Deep adjusted completion percentage, 55.8. Dante Moore beats him and he bests him in that he has a rank of number 1 in college football on deep throws on the run. Overall adjusted completion percentage, 79.2. Dante Moore bests him there. Now, interceptions per attempts. Fernando Mendoza's 29th. You know, and this is the ball security part of it, and this is one of the reasons why I'm a big Fernando Mendoza guy. Dante Moore's 56. Turnover-worthy throws, 2.3. Fernando Mendoza is 15th in college football, and they both have the exact same number. Fumbles on a drop back, 0.6. 12th in college football. Dante Moore, 49th in college football. He fumbles the ball. That is something that I'm going to mark down against Dante Moore. Fumbles on drop back. Dante Moore also loses in that aspect. Short yardage per attempt. Fernando Mendoza higher. He's 3rd in college football. Intermediate. Pretty low right there. Yards per attempt, pretty low right there. Fernando Mendoza. I think that might be because of the offense, but it's a little lower, right? Deep yardage per attempt, 9th in college football. Dante Moore best him right there. Overall yards per attempt, he's 2nd in college football. Dante is 11th. ESPN QBR, which is very comprehensive and convoluted. Fernando Mendoza is 2nd in college football. Dante Moore is 12th. Passer rating NFL, number 1 by Fernando Mendoza. Dante Moore, number 3. Drop back sacks. You know, Fernando's been sacked more, pressured to be sacked. He's been pressured more. Dante Moore, to me, has a way better offensive line. Kept clean grade, is 13th. Dante Moore's 3rd. So that kind of tells us with the raw numbers that Dante Moore has had better protection. Fernando Mendoza has been kept clean, a little bit less than him, but he's been kept pretty clean. And listen, you know, these guys, man, are it's like splitting hairs, but I love what I see from Fernando Mendoza, man. I love what I see, man. I love what I see. The numbers are right there for you guys in the chat. Get wasted with your brother wasted. We got almost 700 in the room. Everyone would change their tune if Fernando gets picked of 3 times or more throws of over 300 yards and runs 2 touchdowns. I mean, I don't know. Wait, so hold on. So it's obvious Mendoza can make throws everywhere. There's no comparing. I mean, bro, I just wanted to show you guys, you know, the raw numbers, right? Because look, I'm here to give you information and not affirmation, yo. Information, not affirmation. Yo, we got almost 700 in the room. Get wasted with your brother wasted, man. This is a late night waste right now. A late night waste. G-Funk says, congratulations on 15K. Oh, appreciate you, bro. And I'm gonna be real with you. I'm really, the number for me, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The number for me is 20,000. 20,000. You know, we got to get to 20K. The Raiders got to start winning, but y'all got to get it. We got to get us up to 20K, man. Yo, Raider Nation for life. So let's stop pretending Moore's an option. It's Mendoza or nothing, man. I get it, man. I get it, man. So, guys, look, that's kind of a detailed breakdown on these guys, man. And salute to our guy, Raider Junkie Cisco. Got a baby on the way. That's right. Yo, listen, salute, bro. Salute, man. And salute to you and your family, bro. It's always a blessing to have children, man. I'm telling you right now, man. God bless you guys, man. I hope everything goes well with that, man. Real rap. Real rap. So you need 50K wasted. I appreciate it, man. So, guys, let's really get into, you know, this Raiders Chiefs situation right now. You know, I am not a guy who wants to break this game down, man. You know what I mean? Look, we don't really want to win this game. I know people in the organization want to win this game. I've heard, you know, Mark Davis wants to win and the players want to win. And Pete Carroll today, you know, he talked about how the Raiders are going to approach this game. Now, Pete Carroll has a desire to win, and, you know, Raider fans are furious, but, you know, what do you expect from Pete Carroll, right? You know, Pete Carroll is trying to tell you the quiet thing out loud. He doesn't care. I mean, because most likely he won't be here after this. He's endured a miserable season, man. And, you know, I get it, right? It's been a flat out disaster, bro. It's been terrible. And, you know, the Raiders are preparing to close our game out at home. And Pete wants to go out with a win because, you know, they haven't had one in a long time. He says nothing more important in the world than winning a game in a division. If we can get that done, that would make it a little sweeter. I'd love to have a locker room that we can have a blast. Now, I'm going to be real with you. Look, I don't think any of these guys are going to be jumping around, dancing and celebrating. It's the end of the season. They're terrible. And, you know, you got 25 free agents on this team, and most of these guys are not going to be here. You got guys on this team, Devin White's of the world, you know, that, you know, there are a lot of people that, you know, are dogging Devin White out and saying he's a terrible player and all this other stuff. And, you know, Levi Edwards had wrote a decent article on him and Eric Stokes. And I'm going to be real with you. Devin White set a franchise record in tackles, right? So from Devin White's perspective, right? From a Raider perspective and from a football perspective, Devin White has done his job in a sense as a linebacker, being a great tackler and things like that, but he has not done well in coverage. And he's one of the worst rated linebackers in coverage, right? So that's a piece of the story too. But Devin White's story is very, very convoluted, right? Because there's no wrong answer. If you say that Devin White has had a great season, for him, he has. Right? For him, he has, because this is a guy that you got to look at, man, that was damn near out of the league. He was damn near out of the league. Like, let's really, really look at that. Devin White was damn near out of the league, man. This is a guy that, over the last few years has not played a whole hell of a lot. He's not played a whole hell of a lot. So this is a guy that, is in a situation where he's really resurrected his career. This is a guy that, was a high draft pick. We all wanted him. He came out, in 2019. We wanted him, but, they took Cleveland Farrell. And this is a guy that, was a tackling machine coming into the league in Tampa Bay. All pro kind of guy, won a Super Bowl and everything. But 2024, played 7 games. He only had 19 tackles, 15 total tackles. He's had games this year where he's had more. This year, he's had 168 total tackles, 92. He was cut 2 times last year. So if you're saying that this is a great improvement for Devin White, that means that you'd have the right answer. Has he played in a way where we can say that we've solved our issues at linebacker and he had a great season overall? No. Oh. That's not what happened. Yo, my guy, Ruben Russ, with the $10 slap-a-roon. I wouldn't pick this kid top 5, but Trinidad Chambliss could have played himself into a top 50, 100 pick in the NFL. Just came from D2, dominating SEC. He won't be a Raider, but it looks like a steal. I don't think Trinidad Chambliss, once he goes to the Underwear Olympics, is going to be a guy that you pick in the top 50. I think he's got a 3rd-round grade to me, and I think that's a little high. And I think that it will probably behoove Trinidad Chambliss to try to fight for some more availability. Not availability, but fight for some more eligibility and go back and go down there with Lane Kiffin and try to win a natty. He tried to do the Cam Ward thing. But this is the thing, man. This is the thing, man. When you start talking about, Devin White, people are destroying this guy like he's the worst linebacker in the world, and he's not. Has he had the greatest season in the world? No. But, you can't just cough at 168 tackles, 92 solos, 76 assists, a sack, forced fumble, an interception. The guy has really, really, really resurrected his career. And now he is going to be in a situation where he might start some elsewhere. Salute to my guy, Ruben Russ, again, with the $20 bomb. Head coach is key to a team's success. Some coaches just win with whatever they get. If Spy and Brady want Mendoza and Kubiak wants a West Coast QB like Moore, do you let Kubiak walk? Or are we leveraging that pick for a top coach? I really think that when you talk about, the head coach, right, and you talk about with John Spytek, it's more importantly that ownership and the GM is on board with the quarterback. And then you got to hire the quarterback that comes here and that lines up with that quarterback. See, that's how people win in this league, man. That's how people win in this league. You win in this league by having the organization completely behind you, believing in you. Fernando Mendoza spoke about that. When you got the organization completely behind you, you have the head coach bought in and excited and on fire to coach you. That is how you win. You don't want to bring in a guy who has eyes for another quarterback. You want to bring in the guy who says, I came here to coach Fernando Mendoza. That's the guy you bring here, man. James, man, what up, Wasted? Besides QB, my 2 biggest team needs are young right tackle and a true nose tackle. And, those are 2 of my biggest needs as well, bro. And we have that in this draft. Nobody is saying that. It's a hypothetical, Top Beats. It's a hypothetical. They're saying if he preferred Dante Moore more, would you skip on Kubiak? And to be honest with you, I am of the estimation that I have my coaching candidates, and I think one of the main things is that he aligns with my ideology with the quarterback if I'm the GM. The main thing is I want John Spytek to hire the next head coach. And I don't want the next head coach having any autonomy over the roster. I want his input to be considered, but I don't want him being the one pulling the strings. And when you look at this Raider line, the Raider line needs free agents. Developing players and stuff is cool, but I think we're beyond that. Because at this point, Jackson Powers Johnson is a guy who is going to his 3rd league, but he's a guy that you got to decide whether he's a center or a guard, and he's still a young player. Colton Miller's a definite if he's healthy, right? Caleb Rogers is a developmental guy, right? But he's a guy that, you know, you can probably card out there. You have other guys in this situation, guys like Charles Grant, who looks the part, but we don't know. DJ Glaze, another developmental guy. We need some definites. We need some definites, man. We need some definites, man. Telling you right now, we need some definites, man. You know, I mean, look, for me, free agency is where you get, you know, a cut. Like if they can get 2 starters, that'd be great. That'd be great. Now, listen, when we start talking about, you know, what the Raiders are going to do, how they're going to turn this thing around, there are a lot of names that have been floating around for the Raiders to be head coach, right? Pete Carroll is still there. I'm not going to fire him premature. I don't know what the Raiders are going to do, right? But my guess would be that Pete Carroll would not be here, right? But Jeremy Fowler connected some kind of weak dots between Cliff Kingsbury and the Raiders, man. And you know, Cliff Kingsbury's head coaching candidacy is interesting. Despite Washington's struggles, the Commanders ranked 21st in total offense ahead of Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh. And despite a poor supporting cast ravaged by injury, he's a potential fit in Tennessee with young Cam Ward, who fits his style of offense in Las Vegas, should that job open up. But many will expect, you know, a hard look at the Raiders improving their offense. Now, look, Cliff Kingsbury was interviewed for the Raiders job. He turned it down previous in another, regime. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not the biggest Cliff Kingsbury guy, right? Especially as a head coach. People are linking Kingsbury around Las Vegas. You know, he's floating the idea, but I think that this is one of those kind of stories that don't really have a lot of legs, right? You know, out of all of the people for the Raiders to pick, especially them having the top 2 pick in the draft and $106 million in cap space, why would you settle on Cliff Kingsbury? There's so many other guys that the Raiders could possibly settle on, right? There are guys like Brian Flores, who to me is more of a viable candidate to him. You know, Robert Saleh is a guy. If you're not going to go with LaFleur, if you're not going to go with Kubiak, if you're not going to go with Jesse Minter, if you're not going to go with Joe Brady, I'm out on Cliff Kingsbury. I would like him as an offensive coordinator, and then even that is something that I would really, you know, I'd kind of look at that with a John Desai, man. I really would, because when you start looking at Cliff Kingsbury the first year in a situation, I like it, right? I like it. Cliff Kingsbury in the first year or two, he's great. But you know, they call him like an offensive phenom when he was at Texas Tech and Arizona, right? He starts strong, but they always kind of decline, right? And it's continuing with the Commanders, right? I mean, he has predictable adjustments. You know, there's lack of pre-snap motion, which in the NFL is a no-no, right? He's very inconsistent in the way he calls plays. And to me, there's a big underutilization of talent in crucial moments, right? Like near the goal line and stuff like that. And really, you know, he fails to adapt in real time. He's not, you know, the guy that I would want being our head coach. He's really not. Now, does he fit the archetype of a head coach that's going to be on the sideline with that, you know, that clipboard? Yeah. But, you know, Kingsbury is definitely, he'd be very, very, very low on my list of head coach candidates. He'd be very, very, very low, man. You know, just that system in the National Football League, right? Just his system, man. His philosophy, you know, it's just something that I have not. I mean, he's a guy that is kind of has been getting figured out, man. He's kind of gets figured out, man. And I've noticed that. Salute to my guy Golden Boy with the $5 slappy. If the Raiders do win, Herbert can still get the #1 pick. If the Seahawks, Browns, Bears, I went over that earlier in the show, my brother. Lose, even if the Giants lose to the Cowboys. Yes. So hopefully our business could be taken care of before we even play the Chiefs, and we can go out there and do what we got to do, right? You know, whoever we get, God, I hope the OC is creative and can utilize these 2 tight ends, because we really have 2 great tight ends and a solid running back. Yeah, it's listen, man. It is everything that I've hoped and dreamed of, right? You know, I think that, you know, if we do get a defensive head coach like a Flores or a Mentor, we have to have a dynamite offensive mind. A dynamite offensive mind. But, you know, look, Cliff Kingsbury in an air raid in the National Football League is not something that I think really works long term, man. You know, it's not something that I think works long term. And there's not a whole, you know, look, there's no team that just runs pure air raid offense, but the Chiefs and like the Patriots, they have some concepts. But Cliff Kingsbury, really, that's his core offense. And that should tell you something when you don't have teams that run strictly the air raid offense, man. Yo, if we put DJ Campbell to guard, Inez Cooper late in the draft, and have JPJ back at center in the middle of his O-line, the O-line is officially fixed. I think that Charles Grant is a guy that you really, and Caleb Rogers, I think these are guys that you got to really, really, really look into. But to me, right, the Raiders need to go get a free agent, S-Dot. The Raiders need to get a free agent. It's imperative that when they go into this season with a young quarterback, that they don't have question marks under center and at center. You want to make sure when you go into this offseason with that $106 million, you want to make sure that if it's a chance that you can get a Tyler Linderbaum, you get him. So now you got 2 guys that are bona fide starters, and you got them at one of the most important positions, right? Then you have the opportunity to really outfit a young quarterback with its best friend. Because now if you improve the offensive line, you have a situation where Aston Genty can really be an asset to that young quarterback. So he's coming into the league with a few things that are fixed. He's coming into the league with an organization that's behind him. He's coming into a league with an organization who addressed the offensive line for him. He's coming into the league with a running game, right? And then now you can go out there and you can outsource some of the other skill position players that we're lacking. I mean, it's nothing but right. My guy S-Dot, if there are any doubt, screenshot these 2 guards and check out how they play and their size and their height and weight. No, there's no doubts, S-Dot. The only thing for me is these are guys that I would love to have on the roster to develop, right? But I think the Raiders need to kind of, especially when it comes to some of the pain points on this team, go out there and solve those problems in free agency. Solve those problems in free agency. So listen, if you solve those problems in free agency, you could develop some depth. You could develop some depth, and then you leave some trap doors in those contracts. My dog, Buck Nasty with the $10 slappy. I understand the hype for Flores, but the stain of how he treated the offense and the young Tua, it rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if I want to risk that with this important of a hire. He was right about Tua. He was right about Tua. And he was right about what they were doing in Miami and what they were making him do in Miami. The owners were making him lose. Right now, with Brian Flores, this is the thing to me that worries me about Brian Flores, and it's not his coaching acumen. The thing that worries me about Brian Flores is his personality. He comes from that Patriot tree, that Patriot with that job. I feel that you might have a situation where you get some of the same things that happened with Josh McDaniels. So his personality archetype is what bothers me. More so than anything. I think we need an offensive-minded head coach. Big Vern Loco, Gruden and Flores, like your life depending on it. My brother, I think that you are definitely living up to your name with saying Loco, bringing Gruden back. Get the F up out of here. I don't want to listen. I don't want John Gruden in this building as a head coach again. I would like him to come back and light the torch. I love John Gruden, talk about the Raiders. I like John Gruden. I don't like John Gruden as my head coach. Same thing with Pete Carroll. I like Pete Carroll. I just don't like him as my head coach. I don't like him as my head coach. I'm sorry. Now, guys, I don't know if you guys heard, but the Miami Dolphins poached Cam Miller off of our practice squad. You know, the Dolphins signed him. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to play him, right? But Cam Miller was selected by the Raiders in the 6th round, and he was put on the practice squad. And the only time Miller saw the field was in the preseason, right? But we might see him in the final regular season game in Miami, right? And it's kind of disappointing to lose him because a lot of people talked about the development. And I wanted to see the Raiders possibly start him. I would have liked to see them get rid of one of, Aiden or Kenny Pickett, right? His intellect, his accuracy will help him down the road. I think he's going to be a good player. Salute to Cam Miller. But, there are a lot of us who wanted to see the Raiders just start him and play him, right? And then, you got Pete Carroll, and we talk about some of the press conference stuff, man. I'll be honest with you, bro. His eternal optimism to me is a problem for me right now. There are a lot of people that are around the organization that might help some of these guys, but I think the most important thing for a head coach is to be realistic and honest. And I don't really see that coming out of him, man. Now, the Raiders have ruled out 3 players for the season finale, guys. And, Adam Butler, Dylan Parham was ruled out for Sunday. None of them practiced on Friday. Jack Bech and Tyler Lockett were full participants on Friday. Raheem Mostert did not practice. And Pete Carroll noticed that other players have stepped up. I don't think you're going to see Raheem Mostert, but it really doesn't really matter, right, to me, right? I just – and Geno Smith is not playing either. So I want to see a heavy heaping of Dylan Labe. I want to evaluate Dylan Labe, right? Because with a possible new regime coming in, I want to see if Dylan Labe is a guy that we can keep going forward. I like Dylan Labe's energy. I really, he's a friend of Shield More Shows, and I want to see that guy go out there and get a chance to really show what kind of player he is, man. Real rap. But the Raiders are sitting guys, man. We can see what's going on. They're making business decisions, and I have no problem with the Raiders operating in this century with what it takes to win, long term. Like, I have no problem. Like, a lot of people don't like this, but listen, man, I don't view it from that prism. I don't think they're doing anything wrong by putting the health of the organization long term over right now, man. So, I think we might have seen the last of Geno Smith in silver and black, man. We might have seen the last of Geno Smith in silver and black, and it couldn't have come at a better time, man. That's pretty much how I see it, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Get wasted with your brother, Wasted. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Wasted, what do you think about starting a young homegrown line? Miller, Rogers, JBJ, Glaze, and Grant. I would love it if it panned out, but to me, I need to make sure that the offensive line is the least of our worries next year. The offensive line is, I need definites. If I'm going to draft a young quarterback, I need to do everything I can to not knock the football out of the kid. I think if you're going to spend a premium, you got to spend it on protecting our young running back and protecting our young quarterback. We have too many assets tied up and allocated to the success of this offensive line to play around with maybes. Like, for real. Raider brothers and sisters, please do not mess us up. Remember Calvin Johnson? Yeah, we passed up. I don't think that's why Al Davis passed on Calvin Johnson. He passed because he needed a quarterback, and Jamarcus Russell was the #1 quarterback in the board. Would you want Mike McDaniel as a head coach? No, I would not. I don't think Mike McDaniels is a good coach. I think he is a guy that he needs to either go back to the drawing board or he needs to be a coordinator again. I am not a Mike McDaniel guy. Salah failed with the Jets. Let's be honest. We are the Jets. So why would Salah do better with us? There's a multitude of reasons, right? Like the ownership, the people that are in the building supporting him. I think a lot of what happened with Salah and him supposedly failing was, brought on by the owner going out, getting Aaron Rodgers not really, being on the same page with Robert Salah, and the owner picking Aaron Rodgers, a 40-some-year-old quarterback, over his head coach. I think it was just a bad marriage to begin with. He started in a situation where, had a young quarterback that they drafted and they didn't have the right people in the building to develop him, right? So if you're bringing Robert Salah to the Raiders, you have to put a premium on the play caller. The play caller will be just as important as the head coach. Now, this is the thing, right? And we brought this up a couple of lives ago. I prefer having an offensive-minded head coach because it's very easy it's not easy, but it's easier to replace a defensive coordinator than it is to replace a great play caller. And great play callers get jobs very early. And you can see with Ben Johnson in Detroit, we don't want that here. We don't want that here. We don't want that. We don't want a situation where every year we're thinking that our main play caller is going to leave. I think a lot of the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs have been, great for over a decade is because the same guy's calling the plays. No matter whether it's Alex Smith at quarterback or Patrick Mahomes, it's the same guy. Now, is Patrick Mahomes a much better quarterback than Alex Smith? Yeah. But they kicked everybody's ass in the AFC West with Alex Smith. Like, seriously. So to me, I'm kind of out on some of these defensive guys, man. I want a great offensive mind. I want a head coach on the sideline that's calling plays, man. Mike McDaniel will be a good hire at OC if we get Shanahan/McVay family tree guy. 100%, man. They have a defensive-minded head coach. You have the task of finding offensive coordinator, and that's the thing, bro. That's the thing. Shula's a defensive guy, but he's one of them guys like Kyle Shanahan that is very well-rounded as a coach. So I don't think there would be a super gap with the offense, right? You know what I'm saying? But look, just because a coach does bad somewhere else does not mean that they won't succeed in another place. There have been plenty of coaches who didn't succeed in their first go-round and they succeed in the next go-round. Salute to almost 700 of you guys in the room. Get wasted with your brother, wasted. Tell a friend to tell a friend. My guy, Raw Dog, other than quarterback, what positions do you prioritize in the draft and the free agency? Like I told you, center, right? If JPJ is not going to be the center, guard. And to be real with you, defensive interior lineman, defensive tackle, big time, man. The Raiders need and another position, and it's not a starting position. The Raiders need a backup running back. The Raiders need a change of pace at running back, man. They really, really do. They need a change of pace at running back, man. Yo, my God. K King, 2125 with the $5 slap a room. Sent anyone who says bring back Gruden straight to the mother effing gulags is ridiculous. Bro, it is getting ridiculous. I'm telling you, anybody that wants Gruden, the only time that John Gruden should be back with Raider Nation is when he appears on my show. Like real rap. Never as the head coach, man. Right tackle, guard, defensive lineman, and a backup running back. Also some help in that secondary. James, R8R, wasted. Did the defensive coach from the Vikings coach with McDaniels at the Dolphins? No, because Brian Flores was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. I don't know at some time in their career that they've crossed paths, but Brian Flores was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. DeMarcus Webb. Agreed, wasted. Losing Wilkins was tough. We needed dominant defensive tackle. Yes, we do, man. Aaron Rodgers did not want to keep Robert Saleh. Aaron Rodgers was part and parcel of the reason why Robert Saleh got ran out of there. Aaron Rodgers was trying to do he was trying to bring his guys in there. He brought his guy Nathaniel Hackett and and it didn't work out. Seriously. But see, the thing for me is that, right, when you start talking about guys that you want to draft, right? I'm going to be real with you, man. I would like to see the Raiders if they think that Jackson Powers Johnson is a guard and they don't get Tyler Linderbaum. I would love to see the Raiders in the 3rd or 4th round draft Pat Coogan from Indiana. Like I'm a big Pat Coogan. I like Pat Coogan, man, from his time at Notre Dame. He's a battle-tested guy, man. Battle-testing guy, man. He was a guy that was at Notre Dame, and this is typical of these Notre Dame offensive linemen, man. He comes from that factory, and he's balling. He is balling. He's the guy who was the MVP of the Rose Bowl, right? He has 1,500 career snaps against Power 5 competition. So he's battle tested. He's ready to go. He has an NFL-ready technical foundation too, man. And he also has a lot of experience, man. A lot of experience, man. Very good hand placement. Nice footwork in space. Natural bend. I like the kid, man. The only thing about him, man, is that, he shows some stiffness when he gets beat. Pause if necessary. And he has lapses and leverage sometimes. But for the most part, he is a high floor interior lineman. He's a guy that you can bring in there and be your center of the future. Coogan is a guy that I would love for the Raiders to take a flyer on, man. Hook him up with Mendoza so that center to quarterback exchange is natural as well. So if you're taking Mendoza, go get his center from college, man. Now I know there are a lot of people talk about bringing in Kurt Signetti. You got to understand something, man. He's building something special there. A college coaching job, to me, for a guy of that age, is probably better for him. He's building a situation where he could be the head coach for the next 10 or 15 years. In the NFL, you're here for a good time and not a long time. There's very few people who get to coach beyond 3 to 4 years. And like my man Silver in fact said, he just signed a 10-year deal. I think for people with that college coaching mentality, that jump to the NFL is very, very different, man. He's on a long-term deal, bro. I don't think he's coming to the NFL. And to be real with you, I want somebody that is currently in NFL where there's not that gap. If we have a rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, I don't want a rookie head coach in a sense where they don't have the roots in the National Football League dealing with players that are in the league. Real rap. I personally don't want to see that. Why do you think Nick Saban left the NFL and built a dynasty in college and probably got paid way more than he ever would in the NFL? Because it's hard to deal with, guys that are millionaires. And that's one of the reasons why Nick Saban isn't coaching anymore in college football. The NIL stuff. Nick Saban, he can't control the narrative and where these guys go. He, like some of these guys that he had, he stashes them away and then they play their junior or senior year. Some of these guys are like, yo, I am not sitting here and waiting to play. I want to play now. And I'm not going to play. I'm going to the transfer portal. That just is what it is. Yes, Daniel Caps Keenan's 100%. He hates it. And guess what? When you get college coaches, they have that mentality. It's a controlling mentality that is not a bad thing, but it does not work in the National Football League. Plunkett, man, has been a member for 9 months. Give me Mendoza, then O-line, draft free agency, fix the damn line. Salute to my guy, Flores Plunkett. But yeah, man, I mean, this is where we are, guys. This is where we are. Well, guys, look, man, look, we're in a situation right now where, to me, it is Fernando Mendoza a bust, guys. And I think that we're all on the same page. Let's pray that the Raiders don't have to worry about the #1 pick when they play Kansas City in the late slate of games. Let's pray that the Browns lose. Let's pray that the Bears lose, right? Let's pray the Giants win, right? And let's pray for the first time probably ever in your lives that the San Francisco 49ers go out there and beat the Seattle Seahawks, man. My God, man. I mean, guys, do you guys want to run a mock on the way out, man? Trap God, yeah, there's a chance we beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have a third-string quarterback. Now, Jeff Matthews, am I worried that he takes all his snaps this year? He doesn't take all of his snaps from shotgun, but listen, this is really something that's been pretty common in the National Football League since the advent of the spread offense all around the National Football League. So, no, I don't, man. I think, you know, he's a guy that I've seen. You know, I've seen Fernando take snaps under center, man. He's primarily in shotgun, but he's known for his efficiency and his accuracy when he's under center. He has some experience under center. He hasn't always played at Indiana. So it's not like he's a guy that has never taken snaps from under center. In this offense, he hasn't. But most of these modern offenses do a lot of shotgun concepts. I mean, you look at the Raiders now with Geno. You know, I'm gonna be real with you, man. There are a lot of people who say that, you know, Fernando Mendoza during the 2025 season, you know, not taking snaps out of center. I think that we're just nitpicking a little bit. I think that Raider Nation is scared. I think Raider Nation is in a situation where we don't want to get this wrong. We feel like we can't get this wrong. But guess what, guys? If you don't take the chance, you don't take the shot, you don't get the glory of what comes with drafting the quarterback right. Is Fernando Mendoza perfect? No. Anybody that talks about him not taking snaps under center as much that's a valid concern. But that's not a reason why I wouldn't draft him. That's just me. So let's hope that we're in a position to draft this kid, man. Seriously. There are a lot of people talking about, you know, waiting the next year. There is no tomorrow, man. You have to address this right now. Guys, on the way out, let's do a quick mock. Let's do a quick mock draft, y'all. We're gonna do all 7 rounds, man. We're gonna do all 7 rounds. Whether you like it or not, we're doing all 7 rounds. Yo, guys, you tell me who you guys like, man. You tell me who you guys like. We're gonna draft them. I'm gonna do it. We're on the clock. We're starting to draft right now. Listen, you guys know me. I'm taking Mendoza. I don't give a damn what nobody says. We're taking him. Right. So now we have a situation where, you know, the Raiders need to improve this defense, man. We need to improve this defense, man. I mean, there are a lot of young impact players, man. There are a lot of young impact players, man. You know, but you have to, as this team, you have to get value at every freaking pick. You got to get value at every pick, right? So we got to look at our needs, man. We already got our quarterback, right? We can trade out. We can trade out, right? So the New York Jets are offering a trade at 35 and Dallas is 45 and stuff like that. So do you guys want to take a trade? I don't think I am going to take a trade, man. I think right now, man, we're going to look at our big board. We're going to look at our big board and we are going to continue to go on and we're going to draft our guys, man. We're going to draft. I got to get back to the draft. I'm sorry, guys. I screwed up. Let me get back. Boom. So no trades right now. So we got to look at who's off the board too. Concepcion, Miller. Damn it. So look, for me, right? I want to kind of you know, address this offensive line. But I think it's more important, right, to really go and take advantage of the fact that you need more guys, on the defense. So I drafted an edge rusher, right? So now we're in a situation, right, where, the Raiders in that defense, man, have a lot of holes. The Raiders in that defense have a lot of holes, man. And and the offensive line does too, right? So when we start talking about, what we need some interior offensive linemen, man. We need some interior offensive linemen, man. But more so, we need guys and we need help inside of that secondary. So I'm going to take Keontae Scott. Now, we also need to get better at linebacker. Jacob Rodriguez is a beast, man. Jacob Rodriguez is a beast. We're going to take us a linebacker in the third. So I'm going to stay away from quarterback. I see Drew Allard there. It's very tempting to double up on quarterback, but I think that I'm going to take my advice from earlier in the show. And I'm gonna take some more linemen, man. We got a lot of young guys, man, but I'm gonna take DJ Campbell right now, right? I want to take Cleveland right now. I mean, it's kind of rough to not go out there and get another quarterback and kind of like doubling up, but I think we should double up at corner with Jalen Kilgore. Let me see where we are at center. Boom. So we kind of missed the boat there. We haven't gotten another running back either, right? I want to probably wait. We got an edge. We got two corners. I'm gonna go out there and go get myself a defensive lineman, man. Nose tackle. Now, look. Filet Fillmore. I need you guys to take a look at this kid. Big tackle. Big tackle. A- draft. Mason Thomas. Edge. Corner. We got us a linebacker. We got a guard. We got two young corners to bring in and we're excited about. We got us a nose tackle. And we got us a big right tackle prospect, man, that could start for us in the future. That was our mock draft, everybody. But guys, listen, we done, man. Oh wait, I didn't share the screen. Oh my God, my bad. No, let me share the screen for you bums. You guys want me to share the screen? There it is. My bad. I forgot to share it. Fernando Mendoza, Mason Thomas. We got us a nice edge rusher. Keontae Scott got a corner. We got us a linebacker, Jason Rodriguez, out of that vaunted Texas Tech defense. One of the highest rated linebackers in this draft. DJ Campbell, a great young guard, can compete for that spot to start. Jalen Kilgore is a very, very talented young corner, man. Very, very talented. Xavier Harris, big defensive lineman, defensive tackle, and we got us a big left tackle. I want you guys to look some of these guys up. Take a picture of this, but this draft is an A-. And plus, what are you talking about? I didn't get no starting O-lineman. I did, you fucking bums. Do you see? Do you see? Do you see the left tackle I took? Do you see? Do you see the big fella I took? I mean, my God. You see, I mean, do you see the big fella? You guys don't know what the F you're talking about. You were throwing tomatoes, and let me tell you something, man. We got a big monster freaking left tackle late in the draft that's going to start for us going forward. Man, well, I mean, what a bunch of bums you guys are. A bunch of effing bums. But guys, listen, this has been a Raider Nation Unlimited, man. No respect for the great. I know I'm the Rodney Dangerfield of drafts. Get an A, and then this is what you guys do to me, man. Guys are a bunch of bums. Thank you. I give it an A too. DJ Campbell is a good guard. You guys want me to do it again? YouTube all of these guys, man. You guys have a great night, man. I mean, look, you guys want me to do one more draft? Look, we'll do one more draft, guys. One more draft, and then I'm going to get out of here, man, because it's 10:30 on the East Coast. I think it's time for me to take it down, man. The old man. So, look, we are going to go Fernando Mendoza again. I'm just trying to do it to make sure it happens, right? So, look. To me, right, in the second round, C.J. Allen at linebacker, you know, talented young linebacker out of University of Georgia. Linebacker is a spot where we have not really addressed in a long time. I think it's about that time that we do address it in a real way. I am operating from a prism that the Raiders go out in free agency and address this offensive line. So I'm going to outfit this defense and this offense in a real way. And one of the best young running backs in this draft is Jadarian Price. Jadarian Price, 1-2 punts with Ashton Jeanty will feed families, man. Isaiah World is a beast at tackle. Great freaking pick right there, right? So now, look, we got a situation. We've gotten our tackle, right? We've gotten our quarterback. We've gotten a linebacker. We got a backup running back. We got Isaiah World in the 4th round. We go back and get a bite at the apple again in the 4th round, right? So, you know, listen, we got a situation where, you know, if you guys would like to, and if you think that it's the right thing to do, because I think it's the right thing to do, I think that we need to go and, you know, instead of looking at the big board, you know, you got some young wide receivers that are very, very talented, right? But for me, I'm not drafting any wide receivers. I'm really, really focused on this defense. And I'm going to draft Skylar Gill-Howard. We need a nose tackle, bad. Then DJ Campbell sitting right there, being such a talented young guard. So now we've addressed, you know, the trenches in a big way. We got a starting young guard and damn near a starting tackle. So the one thing we haven't done, right, is we haven't really addressed this cornerback room. We haven't addressed this cornerback room, and I think it's about that time too. Christian Gray is the number one guy on the board. You know, you got Damani Jackson, you know, DJ Harvey. You know, this is very, very, very. You know, this kid is you know, I'm a Notre Dame guy. Christian Gray, I like. Cam Calhoun is nice, but I'm gonna go with my Notre Dame guy. I'm going Christian Gray. So we got us a corner. What do we got here, man? Let me see. We got us a quarterback. We got a linebacker. We got a high-end backup at running back. We got a starting left tackle at a future. We got us our nose guard. We got a guard. We got a cornerback, right? So we address that cornerback room. So now I'm in the space where I'm drafting, you know, best player available, right? So I'm gonna go Noah Thomas from Georgia. Give me a wide receiver, man. Go on ahead and get me a wide receiver. I mean, what do you guys think about that draft? What do you guys think about that draft? I mean, that draft, I mean, listen, man, I think that was a phenomenal draft, yo. The worst draft of all time. I mean, get the F up out of here with this crap. Damn, I got to do it like Gruden. Listen, get the F up out of here, man. That was an A draft, man. Great pick. Nose tackles. We built a bully up front. I mean, you guys are a bunch of bums if you think that was a bad draft. But, guys, listen, man, I appreciate you guys. Love you guys, man. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you guys already haven't. We are on the rush to 20K. And love every single one of y'all. We are going to be active tomorrow, and we're going to be active all weekend. Love every single one of you guys. You guys have a terrific, terrific night. Give yourselves a round of applause. Been amazing. You guys have been excellent tonight. And guys, listen, man, we're gonna be back at you all weekend. I hope that you guys pull up. Graph and Wasted show tomorrow, Wasted and Graph show. And also we are going to be doing a post-game show. We're going to be doing a pre-game show on Sunday, another Graph and Wasted production. And guys, listen, man, have a great and powerful night, man. We are out of here, baby.